Hi there. Well, it's been a glorious day here in the North Lodge cottage garden, and I'm just about to wrap up for the afternoon. However, there is one last task that needs to be done. You guys keep interacting with me across multiple platforms, asking me to create more content about the growth of fruit and vegetables and things that you can eat and harvest yourself. Now, I'm not really into growing my own food. I know that sounds silly. I've got a vegetable and cutting garden, but it doesn't really ignite a huge amount of passion for me. I did an awful lot during lockdown. I do grow quite a lot here, but it doesn't really ignite my senses like the growth of cut flowers and dahlias and sweet peas, for instance. But there's an important job I need to crack on with today, and that is the chitting of the seed potatoes. Well, these aren't actually seed potatoes, and this is something, this is not new. I'm not claiming to be breaking the internet with some brand new information for you. Your seed potatoes do not have to be expensive, and they don't have to be ones ordered online from a garden centre or a merchant. They can actually just be a potato that you've had in the cupboard that has slightly gone over. Now, these haven't gone over. Under normal circumstances, I would pick the eyes off of these, we'd peel them and use them. But we're around 6 to 8 weeks away from planting main crop potatoes now, and I've got this batch of Maris Pipers, which are a heavy good main crop here in the UK, that have actually really started to sprout. Now, these are surplus to requirement. We're changing our diets ever so slightly tomorrow, going back onto a keto, so low carbohydrates for us. So these aren't going to be used over the next couple of weeks. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to chit them properly. Now, chitting is a way of basically storing the potato and keeping it moving in a very slow method and getting these eyes to develop nice and strongly before you actually plant them. And you get them moving so they get a bit of an advance on the ground. So when we plant these in very, very late March to beginning of April, they're going to have a really good head start. Now, you don't need to just treat one potato as one potato. You can actually divide these up. So using a sharp penknife or a normal knife, you can basically take your potato that has lots of eyes on it, like this one here, and you can actually just cut it into sections and actually chit it that way. You then need to place it into a egg box, is very common for people to use, or a seed tray, and just place it with the eyes facing up and place them into a bright, cool, relatively cool position. These are going to go onto a shelf in the greenhouse. So once again, cutting these into sections, the eyes facing up. And I'm going to divide these potatoes into several chunks and make lots of potatoes out of them. Now, one of the reasons why I don't really love growing potatoes here in the garden is I actually find them an awful lot of work. Digging them up, I always find really, really hard work. I'm always disappointed by what I harvest when I dig them up, and then after you've dug them up the next year, you've got potatoes coming up all over the place. Because normally, if you're anything like me, you got bored of trying to dig them up and there's no gold there to find, or you don't think there's any gold there to find, and they come up the next year and they're all over the place. You spend ages getting rid of them. So what I'm actually going to do with these, as you can see, another one that I've split up already, I'm actually going to place these into large buckets of compost. I'm going to tuck them somewhere quiet here up in the vegetable and cutting garden. I can earth them up really easily by just increasing the soil levels in the buckets. You can also do this in large plastic bags as well, really good method of them. And when it comes to harvesting, all you need to do is I plant one sprouted or chitted potato into each bucket. When it comes to harvesting, I simply take the bucket to an empty place in the garden, tip it out with all the compost. All the potatoes are there for me to find, and I've got one meal for Mark and I, or 1 meal's worth of potatoes for us to actually eat. I don't have to go digging around in the garden. I don't have to break a sweat. I don't have to get the spade out, which is all quite hard work. So yeah, that's the way I do it. So all I'm doing is taking these Maris Piper potatoes, I'm splitting these down into a couple of sections with a decent set of eyes on each, placing them up so the eyes are facing skywards. Then I'm going to place them into a tray like I have here. I'm going to place these on a shelf in the greenhouse where they're going to grow away very slowly and steadily for the next 4 to 6 weeks until we can actually get around to planting them. Now, if these start to get a bit too advanced, I can actually start these off in the greenhouse. All I'll do is, as I say, I'll place them into a really large bucket, something in the region of about 18 to 24 inches across. I'll place the potato right at the bottom on about 4 or 5 inches, about 100 to 125 mils of compost, and then I pop the potato on there, cover it over lightly, and as the potato grows and sends up shoots, I shall simply add more and more soil. Probably do that in 4 or 5 stages until the bucket is completely full. Now, anywhen during that period of time, if I get tighter space in the greenhouse, I can move these outside and they can continue to grow. They'll be safe as sound underneath the soil. So that's the last job I'm going to do for the weekend here in the North Lodge Cottage Garden. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. I will see you all during this week. See you later. Bye bye.